I think it was December 5th, maybe. The World Economic Forum just held another war game session where they were talking about an economic collapse, a global economic collapse, and how they needed to handle the media and how they needed to get the media online, on message, and then discredit and shut down anyone who was proposing conspiracy theories, as they said. Well, that's why Malone is being shut down. But I just want to appeal to the common sense of Americans. There must be opposition in all things. That's a general rule of law for the entire universe. Opposites are important, and they're a part of all life throughout the universe. And they're important. When you say, I'm going to isolate and silence anyone in opposition, you're violating the basic rules and laws of the universe. You must have that give and take, that push and pull. You have to have it. Science is not science if you shut everyone else down. It's religion. That's religion. That's what we had when the church was locking people up in the towers because they said, I don't think the sun revolves around us. I think we revolve around the sun. Lock them in the tower. Even though they knew it to be true, it hurt their power, and so they silenced those voices. They knew it was true. This is exactly the same thing that is happening now. Opposition, and this is why the First Amendment is so important. The First Amendment does not guarantee just my speech. It guarantees the speech of people I vehemently disagree with. Because opposition in all things is vital. You cannot move forward without both sides. A bird can't fly with only one wing. It needs both sides. And this is a fundamental right that is universal in its nature. What's the difference between shame and guilt? I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I feel like our society lacks any kind of shame. And so what's the difference between shame and guilt? And is shame bad? Because in some ways, that's been a big problem with humanity, is shame. When you shouldn't be ashamed. What's happening right now, and this is a tactic that you can find in Rules for Radicals, is shame. Shame them, to isolate them. The difference between guilt and shame. I could see myself saying, guilty as charged, but I am not ashamed of it. But can you see yourself saying, I'm ashamed of what I did, but I'm not guilty of doing it? No. Guilt comes from doing something that you shouldn't have done. And that may be a law. It might just be something that you failed to do. Might be something that you failed to do because of shame. I said something I shouldn't have said to that person, And so now I avoid them because I'm ashamed of myself. And so now you destroy that relationship. You destroy everything around you because you're ashamed. And there is no way out of shame. Guilt, however, all you have to do is pay the price to justice, and you're not guilty anymore. You committed that. You did that. But it's behind us now. Guilt gives you a way out. Shame does not. Guilt says this thing that you did was wrong. Shame says you're a bad person. When it comes to COVID, when it comes to all of it, all the social justice, all the global warming, COVID, everything that is coming out of this evil religious cult of the left is based in shame. You did something. You're white. You did something. I can't even name exactly what you've done. I can't, of course, give you any specifics of what you are guilty of. But you should be ashamed of yourself because you're white. And other white people have done bad things. And there's no redemption from that. You can't speak. You should sit there in your shame. That's evil. That's evil. That's wrong. We don't need more shame. What do people do when you're not wearing a mask? They try to shame you. Walking into a really very downscale grocery store in Mexico. Just last week, woman says, if you're rich enough to shop there, you're rich enough to wear a mask. Dude, it's Mexico. Nothing in that store was expensive. Nothing. They didn't even have Oreo cookies. I mean, what can I say? What was she doing? Shame. You don't wear a mask. You want to kill people. You have to let shame roll off your back. Because what that is telling you is the universal message from this evil religious cult of the left. What that's telling you is there's no way out for you. There's no hope for you. There's nothing you can do. You're a bad person. This is a bad country. That's not true. And separate guilt from shame. No, I'm not ashamed of not wearing a mask. Am I wearing a mask all the time? No, guilty as charged. But I'm not ashamed of it. Has this country done awful things in the past? Yes, guilty as charged. Aren't you ashamed? No, I learned from it. We don't do that again. Except, strangely, we do. Why? Because of the founders? No. We're the ones making the decisions right now, not the founders. We're the ones making the decisions. We're the ones repeating the mistakes, in this case, of the 1930s. We're repeating the exact storyline that we taught the world was wrong. And we're teaching it to our children. We're teaching it to a group of kids that will forever be marked by our guilt of not speaking up, not standing up, not getting involved. Your children must see and understand why you stand. If we are apathetic to this cult of shame that uses labels, our children will not be able to stand. Don't be ashamed. I may disagree with current science, but you know what? Science disagrees with itself all the time. All the time. May I remind you of Butter's good for you, butter's bad for you? Yeah. I may disagree with some things the scientists are saying, but I'm asking for real science. I'm asking for the God-given right and the universal necessity of opposition in all things.